Once upon a time, hidden deep within a mountain range so tall, they brushed the clouds, there existed a kingdom known as Avelora. It was a place where the river flowed with liquid crystal, where flowers shimmered in hues of gold, and where magical creatures danced freely under the warm sun. The kingdom was blessed with eternal youth and prosperity, all thanks to their wise and benevolent queens. Her power was not wielded with an iron fist, but with a heart of gold. She treated all her subjects equally, be they human or sprites, warrior or merchant. And her word was law, not because she demanded obedience, but because everyone wanted to follow someone as compassionate and just as she. Now, while jealousy is a sentiment known to all, for none can claim they've never felt it, in the kingdom of Avelora, it was almost unheard of. That is until one dark and stormy night when a sorcerer of great power, Malvek, found himself consumed by envy. See Malvek, though possessing powers most would envy, basked in the queen's favor. He was the royal advisor, the keeper of ancient lore, and he had access to places most nobles would kill for. Yet, despite all these privileges, his heart grew colder and darker with each passing year. You see, Malvek coveted the very source of the kingdom's power, the queen's crown, which was also a vessel of the land's magic. Each strand of her golden hair interwoven into its design amplified her benevolent aura, making her the literal embodiment of Avelora. And as he watched her tend to the land from atop the highest tower, his resentment began to boil, causing him to plot in the shadows, scheming how he might take the crown for himself and bend the kingdom to his will. And so, when the moon hung heavy and low in the sky, cloaking the world in darkness, Malefic acted. He unleashed storms that lashed against the castle walls, sent giant monsters to ravage the land, and poisoned the river that sustained the kingdom's farms. Crops withered, animals perished, and the people cowered in their homes. Their pleas for help echoed through the desolate streets, unanswered. Seeing her people suffer broke the queen's heart. Knowing she had to act fast, she used the last remnants of Avelora's fading magic to lock the very essence of the kingdom inside a magnificent silver crown. Then, donning her finest gown, she rode out to face Mal. The ensuing battle shook the foundations of the kingdom. Bolts of lightning split the sky as Seraphina battled the sorcerer. Yet despite her valiant efforts, Malabek proved too powerful. Just as he was about to claim the final victory, Seraphina cried out, "I may not be able to defeat you, Malvek, but I won't let you win either." With that, she placed the crown on her head and disappeared. The instant the magical crown touched her skin, the remaining magic surged through her veins, enveloping her in a blinding light. Then, with a final cry of anguish and triumph, she vanished, leaving Malvek to stare at the spot where she once stood, utterly alone in his victory. The weight of his actions crashed down on Malvek, and he realized the depth of his folly. In his single-minded pursuit of power, he had not only destroyed the kingdom, but also the very thing he had sought to control. For without the queen, Avelora's magic could never truly be his. The river ran black, the land grew barren, and the beautiful kingdom turned into a shadow of its former self. Monsters roamed where children once played, and despair became a constant companion to the people. All hope seemed lost, but as the centuries rolled by, the memory of the queen faded into a distant lullaby, whispered only by the elders to remind the younger folk of the kingdom's golden age. That was until one fateful day when a tattered book was discovered in the ruins of the royal library. Inside its yellowed pages lay an ancient map leading to the hidden crown. Inspired by the tales of olds, a young orphan named Kale set out on a perilous journey to find it. He braved raging rivers, scaled snow-capped mountains, and ventured into treacherous caves, all in the hopes of restoring Avelora to its former glory. Throughout his adventure, Kyle met many fantastical creatures, some friendly and some not so much. A talking fox named Leora, who became his companion, guided him with her sharp wit and knowledge of the land. They were soon joined by a skilled warrior named Naira, who had sworn to avenge her family, whose lives were taken by Malefice's monsters. Together, this unlikely trio pressed on, their determination fueled by the promise of a brighter dawn for Avelora. After many trials, they arrived at the Cave of Echoes, where the crown was rumored to be hidden. But guarding it was none other than Malvek himself, who had somehow managed to preserve his existence for centuries, sustaining himself on the despair of the kingdom. Though weakened by the passing years, he was still a formidable opponent. As soon as Kale stepped into the cave, Malvik emerged from the shadows, his eyes blazing with hatred. "So you've come to claim the crown, child?" he boomed, his voice echoing ominously within the cavern. "Very well. Let us see if you have what it takes to defeat me." With that, Malvik unleashed bolts of dark energy at Kale, who barely managed to dodge them, taking cover behind a nearby rock formation. "Leora, Naira, now," he shouted, knowing that he couldn't defeat Malvik alone. Leora darted forward, distracting Malvik with a series of cunning tricks, while Naira launched a counterattack, forcing the sorcerer to focus his attention on her. Seizing the opportunity, Kyle dashed forward and retrieved the ancient crown from its pedestal. As soon as his fingers brushed against it, the crown emitted a blinding flash of light, bathing the cavern in an ethereal glow. The light intensified, forming a protective shield around Kale, Leora, and Naira, repelling Malvik's attacks and healing their wounds. Meanwhile, the cave itself began to tremble as the crown's magic resonated through the ancient stones. Suddenly, a colossal crack appeared in the cave ceiling, allowing a shaft of sunlight to pour in for the first time in centuries. The light illuminated the surrounding walls, revealing intricate carvings depicting the history of Avelora and its people. As the light spread, the shadows that had plagued the kingdom for so long began to recede, allowing the plants and animals to flourish once more. The river, once poisoned, ran clear, and the fields, once barren, were transformed into a sea of gold. Malvik, weakened by the passing centuries and unable to withstand the combined forces of Kale, Leora, and Naira, finally succumbed to the light, dissolving into dust. With the crown restored and Malek defeated, Avelora was once again bathed in the light of day. The kingdom, once shrouded in darkness and despair, was reborn, its people rejoicing at the return of their beloved queen. As for Kale, the young orphan who had dared to dream of a better world, he was hailed as a hero. Queen Seraphina, her spirit rejuvenated by the restoration of her kingdom, appeared before him, bestowing upon him the title of Guardian of Avelora, a role he would hold for as long as the kingdom stood. And so, under the watchful gaze of the newly restored monarchy, Avelora began its new chapter, forever changed by the trials of the past, but united and hopeful for the future. The people, remembering the sacrifices made to restore their land, vowed to honor the memory of those who had fallen by cherishing the peace and prosperity they had reached. And that, dear listener, is the story of how a kingdom lost to darkness found its way back to the light, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, a single spark of hope can ignite the flames of courage and change the course of history. Thank you for listening. May your heart remain pure, your will strong, and your spirit forever young. Until next time!